So here we are back in the lobby at the RP Funding Center for our interview series before the Sports Hall of Fame, and I am with inductee Ken Snell. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Jack. Really appreciate this. It's quite an honor to be here. It's a great venue. I mean, it's so surreal to think that this has actually happened to some little guy like me.
I mean, the All-American Gym, though, is a staple of Lakeland. I mean, it's historic sign downtown, will be there forever. The gym continues to thrive. What's it like to be a part of something that is so enduring in the history of a town like this?
That's something that, in fact, Lewis Balls, who started the gym, and he and I talk about this. He retired, moved to South Carolina, so he's been gone like 12 years. So we still talk about this, and he said, I never would have known that we would have been declared a historical sign, and whenever he started it, and never would he thought that it would continue this long. And I'm going to keep my best to keep it going. So, and I enjoy it. As you know, it's my passion, it's my life, and I really, really enjoy it.
I mean, when you think of where you guys started and where the industry, where the sport of weightlifting was at the time when you started, where, I mean, really a lack of equipment, a lack of, specialty designed machinery and things like that for workouts, even workout designs. You guys pioneered all that right here in Lakeland.
Well, we certainly did, and Lewis really built all the equipment for the gym to get it started, because he's obviously a welder, and then he started expanding and building equipment for high schools, for colleges, and even the Bucks. And so, back in that time, there were men and women days. There wasn't any co-ed going on, and that's another thing that the gym did is put a sign saying co-ed, so the girls could know that they could come in and work out too. But yeah, it was really in its infancy regarding women getting into any type of strength training or competition in powerlifting.
And today you're not competing as much, but you're helping put on those events and getting other folks into those. So tell us about this, how that has evolved for you.
Yes, we decided that to put on more contests to get other generations started in doing this, because we want to continue the sport. Of course, powerlifting is still basically a secondary sport, and we wanted to try to get more people involved, and especially teenagers. And so we put on 6 meets a year, about one every 2 months, and so we get a good draw, a good crowd, a lot of spectators come and watch them, and so it's right now we're doing really well with all the contests to keep this sport going.
Anyone in particular you want to thank who's either here with you tonight or couldn't make it before we go?
Well, Lewis Balls, because Lewis Balls is the one that started the All-American Gym May 19th, 1979, and he basically helped me out so much to keep me going, and really pushed me to lift weights that I never thought possible. And of course, the founding fathers of my era, you could say, is John Sullivan and Mark Chalet. When I started in 1975, taking this little guy out of high school and putting me on a team and to help out with team points. And I never thought that I'd be sitting here today with you and everybody else being inducted into the Sports Hall of Fame here for Polk County. It's quite an honor.
Thank you, and thank you for being here tonight. I look forward to hearing you up there on stage.
Okay, thank you, Jack.
Now for our next recipient, you could say he's overcome some giant odds, proving that size doesn't matter in the art of powerlifting. We're talking about Ken Snell. He's competed in more than 200 meets, won 17 national titles, lifted more than 4 times his own weight, and been inducted into the Strength and Power Hall of Fame. He's also given back to the sport. Here's the important thing. He's given back to the sport. Why? Starting in the 1980s, long before the internet and AI, Snell and others at All-American Gym right here in Lakeland were on the leading edge of science powerlifting and creating not only routines, but also equipment as well. That specialized training would later lead Ken to create sport-specific training regimens, not only for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but also other successful athletes. Today, Ken continues to operate the All-American Gym right here in Lakeland, works with numerous Special Olympians, and helps Polk County and law enforcement aid cadets learn the importance of fitness for their careers. Our next Polk County Sports Hall of Fame inductee, please welcome Ken Snell.
Well, thank you very much. It's a real honor to be here. Little did I know 51 years ago when I was a small fish in a big pond that I'd still be the small fish in the big pond. And obviously, I'm not here to talk about my basketball career. I'm truly honored to have this induction tonight. It's really a dream come true. I've worked through the years just basically working on not only myself but helping others to achieve results, and whether it be in competition or just health, physical fitness in general. And I used to speak at a lot of schools over the years, and I'd speak to high schools, middle schools, which used to be called junior high schools, and elementary schools. And of course, when I'd go to speak at elementary schools, the kids would all get excited, and so before I entered the classroom, the teacher would tell them that I'm involved in some type of sport. And of course, when I was out there getting asked for a hall pass in elementary school, then she would introduce me, and I would come in as world champion powerlifter. And then you see them all like, looking around me, and as I'm walking in. And so I'm thinking that, well, I better talk to these kids about that not everybody is going to get Polk County swole, as they say in Polk County, right? And so I had to kind of give them a little education about that, because when I first started doing this back in '75, I would actually buy T-shirts. I'd buy a small T-shirt, because they sold, obviously, T-shirts at the meets, and medium T-shirts. And that's what I would buy. Of course, I'd buy large, but I couldn't fit, obviously, in a medium yet. So I'd just buy a small medium, because I knew as soon as I kept doing this over the years that I would get big enough that I'd get rid of the small and I'd fit in a medium. Then my plan was to buy mediums and larges as I progressed. I'd be getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and pretty soon extra large. Well, I really wanted to help out the committee here, and when they were wanting my measurements for my jacket, I said, well, Walmart boys extra large. I mean, so that'll save you some time and trouble. But anyway, yeah, so to this day, I'm still waiting to fit in a medium T-shirt. So, and, but I'm really truly honored to be here. I mean, it means so much to me, and I want to say a couple things that all of you need to remember, that burning calories does not cause global warming. And also, there was a famous quote, with great power comes great responsibility. But with great power, you get inducted in the Polk County Sports Hall of Fame. All right. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
So here we are continuing our interview series here in the lobby of the Polk County Sports Hall of Fame, and I am with Hall of Fame inductee Pam Lancaster. So welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So this has been one of these, this is kind of a full circle Auburndale Polk County Sports Hall of Fame. So we just interviewed Cody and we have you. And so what's it like being able to look and see someone like Cody, who was a student when you were athletic director, now a sports executive of the year?
No, I'm really proud of Cody. It's a great honor for him, and he deserves it. And but yeah, for him to be a former student, I think that even makes me more proud of him, and being an Auburndale graduate and alumni.
So the bulk of your career has been Auburndale or Tenor Rock, so sort of Auburndale adjacent. What has kept you in Auburndale? What's the hook?
Oh, it's a great place to live. I live in Auburndale myself, and it's growing, but it's that one high school town that the relationship we have with the high school and with the city and is just awesome, and that's what makes it a pleasure to work in Auburndale. The support that we get, not only from the community but from the parents and everything.
So one of the sort of the through themes tonight has been the lessons that folks have learned from playing sports that have helped them in their adult career. So what were those key lessons that you've taken away from your sports career, where you played quite a bit of sports before, like all of us, we've got to go do a grown-up job.
Right.
So what were those takeaways that helped you into this career?
I think as a student athlete, when I played sports in high school and college, it's the teamwork, the sportsmanship, the accountability, just the perseverance, all of that kind of stuff. Carried it in as a coach, and then as a teacher and everything like that, and hopefully then passing that on and making that impact to my own student athletes.
And you've got quite a lot of team here with you tonight. So is there anyone in particular you want to thank for?
Well, I'm just appreciative of all. You can't thank everyone because you'll miss somebody, but I've got three of my former principals, and my current principal now, and then some good friends. My sisters flew in from Maryland, so it's going to be a fun night.
Thank you for being here, and congratulations. I look forward to listening to you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
So, and that's it for now from interviews here in the lobby at the RP Funding Center.
The impact of Pam Lancaster on Polk County, on the high schools, the citizens of Polk County, extends far beyond championships, trophies, and awards, and those types of things. You think about that for a second. That's the real impact we're supposed to have. As a dedicated educator, coach, mentor, and athletic administrator, she has spent decades shaping the lives, athletic careers, and the moral compass of many of our kids, many of the children that have grown up to be adults. From serving as an athletic director at Auburndale High School and actually going on to win the state softball championships in 2006. She was the first athletic director at Tenor Rock High School. Her leadership has remained rooted in service, integrity, and community pride. Respected statewide for her work with the acronym's way easier than saying the Florida High School Athletics Association, which is FHSAA. Anyway, a bunch of others, FIA, AAA, and the FACA. She has inspired generations of athletes and coaches alike. And she's really done that through prioritizing what society as a whole feels is important in ensuring that character development and athletic development go hand in hand. Very proud to welcome to the stage our next inductee, our newest inductee, from Auburndale, but if you're from Auburndale, you pronounce it Auburndale. You know what I'm talking about if you're from Polk County. Tonight, we proudly honor Pam Lancaster for her lifelong commitment to education and athletics.
Good evening. Thank you so much to the Hall of Fame Committee. I appreciate it. I'm truly honored and deeply humbled to be inducted into the Polk County Sports Hall of Fame this evening. To be recognized in a county with such a strong tradition of education and athletics is something I never imagined when I stepped into this profession many years ago. For the past 38 years, I have had the privilege of serving as teacher, coach, dean, athletic director. During that time, I have come to realize that athletics is about so much more than wins and losses. It's about teaching young people life lessons, commitment, perseverance, teamwork, sportsmanship, and how to handle both success and adversity with character and integrity. Having the opportunity to serve both as a coach and as an athletic director has given me a unique perspective on education-based athletics. As a coach, I learned firsthand the value of hard work, sportsmanship, teamwork, accountability, and building relationships with student athletes. As an athletic director, I'm allowed to expand that impact, supporting my coaches, creating opportunities for student athletes, and helping shape athletic programs that serve entire school communities. I have been blessed to work with incredible principals, coaches, teachers, and colleagues who dedicate themselves every day to making a difference in the lives of student athletes. Your passion and commitment inspire me, and this recognition truly belongs to all of you as well. To the many student athletes I have had the opportunity to work with over the years, thank you. Watching you grow, not just as student athletes, but as leaders and young adults, has always been the greatest reward of this career. I would like to take this time to congratulate our Bloodhounds who are being recognized tonight. Coach Gloria Choquette, she's the Flag Football Coach of the Year. McKenna Batilla, Tennis Player of the Year. Jaden Monasir, Weightlifter of the Year. And Riley Turner, the Female Scholar Athlete of the Year. As I always like to say, way to go, Hounds. I want to especially thank my sister Paula, who flew from Maryland to be here with me on this special occasion tonight, and to the rest of my wonderful family who also live out of state and are with me in spirit. Along with my family, thank you to my friends for their constant encouragement and support. Anyone who works in education and athletics knows that long hours and busy seasons come with it, and it could not have been done without you. I have learned that leadership is about service. Relationship matters more than records, and success is always the result of great people working together toward a common goal. Polk County has given me a lifetime of opportunities, friendships, and memories that I will always cherish. If I've learned anything over these years, it is that our greatest victories are not found on a scoreboard, but in all the lives of the young people we help guide along the way. Thank you again for this incredible honor, an honor that reflects all the people who have been a part of my journey. Thank you.
Welcome back to the 2026 PCASA Polk County Sports Hall of Fame. I'm here with Coach Rod Schaefer, legendary in Polk County, considering the number of high school and college wins you had in football. So, what's it like to go into the Polk County Sports Hall of Fame?
Well, I feel really honored, first of all, and secondly, I'm only there because I had great assistants and great coaches and tremendous athletes, and I appreciate it, guys that nominated me, and it's a great honor because of all the great people. Gosh, I can actually stand next to Bill Castle now.
So leading up to this, you'd said how you've had a great support system both on the field and at home. So in particular, you've talked glowingly about your wife as we've talked about this. So tell us the importance of having that support system at home.
Now, this won't be out there today when I'm there.
No.
Okay.
No.
Well, the sad thing is, yes, she's been the brains of the outfit, taking our kids to all the travel baseball, travel football. You know, Justin was, Ashley got to Clemson in full ride. Justin was to Florida, played for Blue Jays, played for the Reds, played for all the travel teams she got them to because I was either on the road or couldn't do it. And she's the best. The bad thing is that we just had a Hall of Fame our wife, mother, and Nana plaque made for her, and we've had that all. My son's going to be here, and unfortunately we hit it so well we forgot to bring it.
Yeah.
So it's terrible.
Well, so no Easter egg hunts at the Schaefer house. Is that what you're saying? We'll never find them.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Oh, it's awful. I feel so bad. I was going to be, but I'm going to still say something about it and then tell the people I screwed up.
So kind of a theme of tonight is family connections to sports. So both your son and daughter went on to play college and professional sports. Tell us about that. And your wife was a college athlete as well.
Well, yeah, Justin played football and baseball. You'll hear that on my speech a little bit. I got that 4 minutes and 54 seconds speech.
You ready?
Yeah, I'm going to read it.
All right.
But he was all state here in football and baseball, and he was also an All-American. He also was picked as a starting quarterback for the North-South game for the Florida High School Athletic Association. And then he got drafted after his junior year and went ahead and played for 3 teams. He played for the Blue Jays, the Reds, and the Marlins, but then he tore his labrum, and that ended his career. And the greatest thing you'll hear in my speech out there, probably not in here, is that the greatest accomplishment he had was he married Sylvia Carter, who just happens to be Miss Indiana. And I don't know why she married him, but she did. And her dad was Tom Crowder, who played center for Larry Bird's team when they played Magic Johnson in the national championship. So we've had 5 generations of Division I athletes, and that little baby, I look at him, I think he's number 6.
Yeah. Is there anything else you would like to pass on to folks here tonight at the Hall of Fame?
Well, I just appreciate what we do. This is the best there is, and I came from Indiana and Illinois. No one has anything as great as this is, and I appreciate that. And there's just so many other people that deserve to be up here, and I appreciate you. You spent 2 hours at my house, and I didn't even give you a cup of coffee.
Well, I appreciate how humble you are and all the good words. So that's it for right now from the Polk County Sports Hall of Fame.
Over a remarkable 43-year career, this football coach built championship programs both at the high school and college levels, and today is recognized as one of the winningest football coaches in Polk County history. His name, Rod Schaefer. Rod turned Lake Wales High School into a football powerhouse, with his teams capturing multiple district, regional, and state titles. Let's start with the numbers. 276 wins at the high school and college levels. That includes 10 district titles, 6 regional titles, 6 semi-state titles, and twice being state runner-up. He is a 3-time 3A or 4A State Coach of the Year and won the Florida Coach of the Year back in the 94-95 season. Beyond the wins, Schaefer's impact extended through recruiting fairs, lineman camps, and mentorship that opened the doors for countless numbers to play. Tonight we honor a coach whose greatest legacy is not the number of wins he has, but the lives he's changed through this great game of football. Once again, let's bring him up on stage, Rod Schaefer.
First of all, I want to thank all these guys and these 30 people that came here from Lake Wales. It proves that for a free dinner, they'll show up. I want to thank you, Jack, for making my introduction and look better than I really am. And you should see, it was on a radio show. He was amazing. I know that Mike Hay, Billy Washington, and Terrence McGriff and Dan Talbert is the ones that sent stuff in for me to get in this famous and good honor. I know that Mike Campbell, Mike Hay, they're all sitting here, and Billy Washington will be standing in this place soon. They all deserve to be out here. First, I'd like to think, oh, by the way, 5 minutes supposed to have been the thing, so I timed myself. I shouldn't have stopped here. I got 5 minutes going there. I know you can all clap. First, I'd like to thank the Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, for guiding my path and making this possible. Next, the real honor belongs to the 30 people seated at these tables. Winning football games requires the administration that understands that sports are a valuable part of school and the community, as well as the teaching staff that recognize that having coaches in the hall helps you to have great discipline. One of the greatest honorary coaches on my staff was a lady. And this lady, I'm the only one I'm going to say to stand up today. This lady who brought me cookies before every game, and still does. Even when I go to the game, she's always sitting there with cookies. So, Judy, would you stand up and get a hand for her? And I expect you to continue to do that. At Lake Wales, our coaches in all sports work together. We shared our athletes. We encourage our athletes to play more than one sport. We like some of them to play 3. We all work together. To win football games, you got to have 5 things. Number 1 is administration that realizes a good sports program is important to the school and to their community. And I have those principals here are sitting here. I appreciate you, Keith, and the rest of you. Secondly, a great coaching staff that not only knows the Secondly, a great coaching staff that not only knows their responsibilities, but they know how to develop young people to not just develop great athletes, but developing them to be great students and great people in our community. One of the things I'm most proud of is that I never left a job in high school or college where my assistant coach didn't become the next head coach. That's the kind of coaches I had. Thirdly, you need a great booster club. My booster club, everyone just say hi, stand up. Those guys, you don't have to stand up, I guess, but booster club, they always promised me when I first came from Indiana, Terre Haute South High School, when I first came here, they told me that they were behind me, win or tie. And that's the way they worked. So, thirdly, as I said, we had the best booster club you ever had. They took care of me. They fed us on the road. All you guys appreciate it, and you guys know who you all were. They'd feed our team, and other teams would be mad because they didn't get anything. We were on the road, and they'd cook for us, and we were there. I appreciate that. They fed us on the trips. Anything I needed for the program, they always got it. I could tell them anything, and it came up, and it came. Next, you obviously need to have great athletes, and Lake Wales, we're loaded. They just needed some direction. And it continues today. That's what I'm most proud of. Tavares is doing a great job, so they're continuing to go on. I also believe that every school should have a fellowship of Christian athletes in their school. We had one of the best and a chaplain that was on our staff and on the sidelines. Scott Markley's here today. He made himself available for practice and in school to help young people with their problems and to help them understand that they needed something bigger than themselves. Sometimes I choke up. Be careful. Finally, you need to have a wife and family that supports you and handles the criticism they'll hear. Gosh, I can be a mom sometime in the community. I hear that, especially if your kid didn't play. I was fortunate to raise 2 great athletes. My daughter, who won the state in the breaststroke and was awarded the Polk County Female Athlete of the Year, besides being named the All-State in both her junior and senior years, an academic All-American. She received a full ride to Clemson, where she finished her career swimming the breaststroke and relays there. My son Justin, who's here, played both football and baseball for Lake Wales. He was named an academic All-American like his sister. I'm the only one that wasn't named that. Was named All-State in both his junior and senior years for football and baseball. He was named Athlete of the Year in Polk County and was named the Lakeland Ledger Male Athlete of the Year and the Glacier All-American, and held passing records at Lake Wales by the end of his junior year. Let's see where I'm at. He also was selected to play quarterback for the Florida High School Athletic Association game against the North-South, and he was the starting quarterback for the South, and of course we won. He played 3 years of baseball for Florida University as a 2-way player, both as a pitcher and as a left fielder. And he was drafted and played professionally for the Blue Jays, the Reds, and the Marlins until a torn labrum ended his career. However, the greatest accomplishment was to get this brilliant and beautiful Miss Indiana, Sylvia Crowder, to marry him, and to give him a son 9 months old Clayton, James, and I can tell already the kid's got a ball, he's throwing it back and forth. He's going to be our next generation of Division I athletes. However, today my family wants to present this Hall of Fame trophy to a person that, this is the hard part. Okay, let's get it. That put up with all of us the last 50 years, getting the kids travel baseball, basketball, Little League football, Lake Will swim practices, Winter Haven Stingray travel team. And when I was coaching in college and she had to do the whole thing, she did that while working 30 hours as a director of fiscal service for Sheriff Judd in Polk County. So Sue, will you please stand up? And I want you to know that this award we have is yours.
Welcome back to some interviews here in the lobby at the All Sports Awards. I am with Fred Ridley. So, I mean, where do we start? It's legendary Augusta and the Masters, but you started here golfing in Winter Haven and went on to be a U.S. amateur champion. I mean, just a storied career. So, how does it feel to go into the local Sports Hall of Fame?
Well, I'm very excited, Jack. And you mentioned Winter Haven, but actually started right here in Lakeland. I was born in Lakeland.
Okay.
I grew up about 2 miles from here, and I was thinking about it on the way over. I wouldn't say it was on the wrong side of the tracks, but it was certainly not in the country club section. I played. My dad played golf, and I tagged around with him. He played at a public course, which then was called Carpenter's Home. It was a retirement home for the Carpenters Union.
Yeah.
I think it's now called Wedgwood, if it's still
Yep.
operating. But that's where I sort of followed him around the golf course, and that's how I got started.
So from starting here in Lakeland, you go on to Florida and the golf team there, and continue to expand. But more than that, I think what makes you special tonight for the Golf Hall of Fame is been your outreach to the women's side of golf and highlighting that, bringing in more interest in the women's side. So tell me how that has been special to you.
Well, so to start off with, I have 3 daughters who love golf. They love to play. They love to watch. And so that might have been part of it. But, when I became chairman at Augusta National, I felt that while we had done a lot to promote golf and to expand golf to other people, we had the drive, chip, and putt competition, which brings tens of thousands of young people from around the country to qualify, and then 80 boys and girls come to Augusta. And we've been active in promoting golf internationally in Asia and Latin America. But I felt that what the missing sort of link and the element and all that was women, that we really hadn't done enough to promote women's golf. If you've looked around, women's sports is really booming now. Basketball, volleyball, and so I just thought it was the right thing to do to give these young ladies who are very fine golfers a stage where the spotlight could shine on them. They could prepare themselves if they decided to turn professional for that career, and there would be no better place to spotlight that than Augusta National.
It was interesting. So, just kind of as an aside, we had a young family in our Sports Hall of Fame in Auburndale, and I was talking to them, and they were from Jamaica, visiting the area, and the 3 kids were in the area to golf out in Carrollwood to try to qualify to be at Augusta. And I thought, well, how do you like that? It really is an international sport. Probably the international sport next to soccer, and continues to grow in all sorts of areas of the world, and you are a key part of that.
Well, the interesting thing about that, and talking about women, but also talking about the kids, is that there are now several examples of young kids who played in the drive, chip, and putt who are now playing professionally. Ashke Bhatia is one of them. He was a participant some years ago. There's a couple on the women's side as well. And so we're seeing that develop sort of up through the system. But we're very proud of the Augusta National Women's Amateur. It's become I think the premier women's amateur golf tournament in the world. We had, I think, all but one or two of the top 50 women in the world playing this year.
Wow. Is there any parting words you'd like to pass on to folks at home about being here and being inducted into the Sports Hall of Fame?
Well, I guess what I'd like to say is, unfortunately, both my parents and my sister are gone, so I'm really, all that's left of our family, and so I have to really dig deep for memories. I graduated from high school in 1970, and really, other than visiting, I haven't really been back very much to Lakeland, Winter Haven. And so, but I just remember what a great place it was to grow up, what an opportunity I had, being raised by a great family, a lot of great friends, a lot of people who helped me along the way. And so I'll never forget that about growing up here in Polk County.
Thank you for joining us. So that's it for now here at the lobby at the RP Funding Center for the Polk County Sports Hall of Fame.
Our next inductee, our fifth inductee, is Fred Ridley. You probably have seen, well, I'm sure many of you have seen him. And I saw him, recognized him when I watched the Masters this year. He's a very influential, notable gentleman. And he really had a remarkable journey from Polk County as an athlete to one of golf's, well, I guess I could say influential leaders. It's a story of talent, character, and vision. A U.S. amateur champion, which is an impressive feat in and of itself, a Masters competitor, and respected attorney, Ridley chose education and service over the glory, the attention of the professional golf spotlight. It was a decision that ultimately shaped the future of the game of golf itself. In his service to the sport, Fred Ridley has championed opportunities for women in golf, led the United States Golf Association, and currently serves as the chairman at or of Augusta National Golf Club, which, as most of you know, in anybody's book, is home to the most prestigious tournament in golf in the world. That is the Masters. His achievements reflect not only excellence in sports, but a lifelong commitment to leadership, integrity, and the advancement of golf worldwide. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor and pleasure to introduce our next Hall of Famer, Fred Ridley.
Thank you very much, Mark, for that kind introduction. You mentioned in your comments about my passion and activity in promoting women's golf. And that reminds me of the day that we announced it was the Masters in 2018. We announced the Augusta National Women's Amateur, which has been a wonderful addition to the Masters Week, the celebration of golf in Augusta every spring. I was asked at the press conference on Wednesday before the tournament why, what sort of brought all this about. And I said, well, it kind of starts with the fact that I have 3 daughters, and they all love the game of golf. And I said, and I don't know why I said this, but I said, they're not very good, but they really love the game of golf. And the point I was trying to make was that they really were golf people. They loved to follow golf, but they didn't have to be good golfers to make a difference. Well, they didn't see it that way. My phone started blowing up. I could feel it in my pocket, and they've never let me live that down since. But I'd just like to say it's a real great honor to be here. I'd like to congratulate my fellow inductees this year, as well as everyone here on the dais, former or current members of the Polk County Sports Hall of Fame. it was great to come in tonight and to see a number of people that I haven't seen for a long time. You know, I ran into Brant Martin, one of your Hall of Fame members, when I walked in the door, and you know, he mentioned to me that Chris Clemens was here, Mike Schroeder, two guys, along with Brant, that I played a lot of golf with growing up, and so it was really, really great to see them and reminisce a little bit about what's happened over all these years, because we just haven't seen each other much. I'd also like to mention someone who I do see a lot of, and that is my longtime law partner, Mike Annis. Mike is from here in Lakeland and now lives in Tampa, where I live. Mike gave me a job in 1984. You know, today in the legal world, you know, the law firms sort of chase the lawyers, the recruits, to come work for them. Well, it was a little bit opposite back in that day. I was having to chase Mike. But he gave me a job, and I owe him just about everything that I might have accomplished as a lawyer. So it's great to be with him tonight. I've been in Tampa for the past 46 years. I married a girl from Tampa, and I was told that, you know, you may move away, but she'll bring you back to Tampa, and that is exactly what happened. You know, it's kind of interesting because, you know, if you live in Tampa, or you live in Plant City, or you live in Temple Terrace, you say that I live in Tampa or Plant City or Temple Terrace. If you live in Lakeland or Winter Haven or Auburndale or Haines City or Lake Wales, you say, I'm from Polk County. And I don't know why that is, but it always is that way. And so I'll start by saying that it's great to be here with all of you here in Polk County after all these years. I haven't lived in Polk County, in Winter Haven, as it were, since 1970. My parents and sister are gone, and so I really had to dig deep to think about my childhood and my youth here in Polk County. Lakeland, where I was born, just down the road at what was then Morrell Memorial Hospital, and then later Winter Haven. We lived not too far from the hospital, sort of on, not the other side of the tracks, but certainly not in the country club district. My dad was an avid golfer, a municipal course player. He played out at what was then called Carpenter's Home, which some of you people my age probably remember that. I think it's called Wedgwood or Westwood now. I think it's still around. But you know, I would follow him, pulling his cart. Really never could have imagined what the game of golf was going to give me in my life. You know, growing up in Lakeland and then Winter Haven was really a wonderful experience. I mean, it was the way a young life really should be. It was all about family, friends, church, community. I remember when I qualified for the U.S. Junior Championship in 1969. I think I played in 20 USGA championships, and that was the first one I qualified for. It was in Spokane, Washington. I'd never been on an airplane, a commercial airplane. And so that was a pretty long trip to start out, but I remembered that it was such a big deal in Winter Haven that somebody had qualified for a national golf championship, that there was a ceremony. I was with the mayor. I got I don't know if it was a key to the city, but it was something like that. And but it just brings back, it makes me smile. It brings back so many great memories of a rich life growing up as a young guy in Lakeland and Winter Haven. I know when we moved from Lakeland when I was 8 years old, I mentioned that I played only at public golf courses. Well, we joined the Lake Region Yacht and Country Club, and I thought I'd died and gone to heaven. I'd never played golf at a country club. And so that's where I played throughout high school. You know, I was a decent high school golfer, not great, but I was good enough to get a scholarship to the University of Florida, which was actually sponsored by the Florida Citrus Commission. I think it was based right here in Lakeland. And so that gave me an opportunity to go to the University of Florida on a scholarship. I was a pretty mediocre player. We had really good teams back in those days. You know, I'm not the only golfer from Polk County that's won the U.S. Amateur. Bob Murphy from Nichols, who lives down on the East Coast now, won in the mid-'60s. And he was a University of Florida golfer as well, won the NCAA championship. But I was a fairly mediocre college player, and I realized after a couple of years that golf was not going to be my profession. That's not the way I was going to make a living. So, you know, I buckled down, started studying a little more, got into law school, and kind of a funny thing happened on the way to graduating from law school, and that was I met a gentleman named Jack Grout. Now, for those of you who are golfers about my age, you might know that Jack Grout was the only teacher that Jack Nicklaus ever had in his life. And I was introduced to him by one of my college teammates at the University of Florida, and he completely turned my golf game around. After a year of law school, I had seen him prior to starting law school. I went to Muirfield Village, which is a course in Columbus, Ohio. The tournament was there last week. The Jack Nicklaus had just opened, and I spent a week with Mr. Grout, went on to play quite a bit of golf that summer, played well, didn't win anything, but had a few top 10 finishes, and then arrived at the U.S. Amateur, the Country Club of Virginia at the end of the summer, and had qualified, got the last spot at a qualifier in Jacksonville. And I kind of went into the tournament really with kind of a carefree attitude because I knew I had to go back to law school the next day, or the next week rather. And so I was really not looking ahead, just playing one match at a time. And lo and behold, I won 8 matches and won the U.S. Amateur. And needless to say, that did change my life. It really sort of pointed me in directions that I would have never been pointed had it not been for that. I did learn a very good lesson that week about dealing with the press, which I have to do a lot today in my job and my role at Augusta. And that was, I was asked on a number of occasions through the week, why I wasn't going to turn pro, or was I going to turn pro if I won the tournament? And I said, no, I'm not. I'm in law school. I'm going to stay in law school. And so that question was asked over and over again throughout the week as I progressed towards the finals. And so finally, I got a little frustrated, and I said, well, you know that I'm in law school. And I said, frankly, I think I'll make more money being a lawyer than being a professional golfer, which I thought was kind of a good answer. But the next day after I won the tournament, there was a headline in the St. Petersburg Times that said, Ridley wins U.S. Amateur, says he's going to make more money than playing golf. So the next week I went to, my first class was a contracts class, and we had a professor there named Calvin Kunzel, who was sort of like Professor Kingsfield, if you remember the movie The Paper Chase. And Professor Kunzel, we walked into class, and he had a newspaper he was holding up in front of him, and he smoked a pipe, and the paper lowered, and he was smoking the pipe, and he looks out over the class, and of course, they taught by the Socratic method where you were asked questions, and you had to basically stand up and answer the question. So he looks out, and he spots me, and he calls out my name, Mr. Ridley, would you please stand up? Well, I had not read one page of the assignment. I knew nothing about what we were supposed to talk in class. And so he literally kept me on my feet for the next 45 minutes, starting out by saying, I understand you're going to be a very successful lawyer. And what do you say to that? So I tried to answer the questions as best I could, but it was really a lesson that, you got to be careful what you say in front of the media. Although I haven't been back here much, this has been a wonderful occasion for me to reminisce and to think back about growing up in Polk County and Lakeland and Winter Haven, and I really think that I've been a beneficiary of that upbringing, that background. I have wonderful parents, wonderful friends, so many people along the way who have helped me out, a number of great mentors. Mike being one of them in my law practice. And so this has been a great, great treat and a great honor for me to be back here. And I want to thank all of you for being here. This is an incredible turnout for this event. And I thank the committee who made this decision. And it's an honor to be among all these great athletes and who have made their mark here in Polk County. So thank you very much.
So welcome back to our lobby interviews here at the RP Funding Center at the Polk County Sports Hall of Fame. And I am here with Bob Adams. So one of the legendary contributors, a gentleman who has really given back to Polk County and sports in phenomenal ways. Thank you for being here, sir.
My pleasure. I came to Lakeland 60 years ago. I've been blessed. Was fortunate to work for Jimmy Sykes for 4 years, and lots of my own business, but Lakeland has been very good. It's been my privilege to give back to the sports arena. I've been kind of a sports idiot all my life. I do a lot of stuff, but But Lakeland has been good. The Y has been a great part of my life. Florida Southern.
Well, and basketball has been a big part
Big
of your
part.
life. So, I mean, from a young age all through high school and beyond that.
I came out of the rural area of northwest Florida. In fact, we won a state championship in basketball without a gymnasium, playing on dirt course, working out on dirt course. But basketball through the University of Florida, University of North Carolina, spent 3 years in the military as a medical service officer and played a lot of sports in there. And then it ended up in Lakeland and playing the basketball leagues and then getting involved with Florida Southern, doing the radio for some 12 years, traveled to some of the basketball meccas around the country while we did it. So,
and then lending your guidance to picking the athletic director for Florida Southern, and tell us about that process.
well, we've been blessed in somehow or other ever since I got there, particularly with Ann. She'd always call in and say, I need your advice, I need your advice. But Southern my son graduated from there, and I've sort of adopted it, but it is a great institution. It's a great addition to Lakeland, and we got a new president. He's been here 2 years. He's getting his feet on the ground, but Florida Southern's been a very treasure for me.
And just to close it up, the lessons that sports taught you that helped you towards business, which is really, I mean, Highland Homes and all the other investments that you have been in. What did sports teach you that you took on into the business world?
I've always felt if you're going to play the game, play it to win. It was always through. I thought I was going to win a second basketball championship in high school, didn't quite make it. Thought I might play at Florida, didn't quite make it. But through there I went through and coming to Lakeland. But I've just been blessed in so many ways I could never, ever express it.
Well, thank you for being here tonight, sir.
My pleasure.
I appreciate it. And that's it for now from the lobby of the RP Funding Center for the Polk County Sports Hall of Fame interviews.
He was born just miles from the Alabama state line. It's kind of a cool story. Bob Adams would learn the value of hard work as a young man, raising and selling hogs. Okay? Expect that for Polk County, but, you know, northern Florida, Alabama state line, that's normal. Well, that entire experience drove him, and it really drove him to strike out on his own. He became one of the most successful home builders in the state of Florida. Many of you have heard Highland Homes, Bob Adams. There you go. Well, not being satisfied with focusing in on himself, he took to the likes of his mentors, George Jenkins, Jimmy Sykes Ballroom, gave back to the community. Critically important, really important. Striking out on his own had some challenges, but it also paid big benefits for Polk County. He selflessly gave back to his new community, now his old community. In doing so, he helped chart the course of successful athletic programs throughout Central Florida. From giving back to the YMCA that he himself actually played where he played basketball, to chart the path of Florida Southern college athletics as a benefactor and a member of several athletic committees. You'd be hard-pressed to live in Polk County and not have been touched by his efforts. Welcome to the Polk County Sports Hall of Fame, Mr. Bob Adams.
Thank you and good evening. Over the years, I've been privileged to watch a lot of people get inducted to this fraternity, and some I were personal friends, others I knew by reputation, but I've had a lot of nice things happen to me in the 50 years I've been in Polk County, but certainly this will rank among the highest of the recognitions that I've had. As you saw from my bio, I grew up in the Florida Panhandle, Small community about like Mulberry, right up on the Alabama line, but worked for my dad all the way through high school. Played basketball. My dad and my high school basketball coach were my first two mentors. The Hoggers got me the money to get through the University of Florida. Thought I might play basketball there, but wasn't quite good enough. Moved on to the University of North Carolina and ended up at Army for 2 years, and as an Army officer at Register Office of the U.S. Army Hospital, Fort Stewart. And there I met really my third mentor in Lieutenant Colonel Henry J. Rockstraw, who was executive officer and challenged me in a lot of things, in a lot of ways. And certainly I was very fortunate to have him as a mentor. I was also fortunate to meet my wife there, who came there to teach. First time I met her, she told me that she graduated from Georgia Southern. She said she only dated basketball players at Georgia Southern. I said, well, I play a little basketball. Then she said the shortest one she ever dated was 6'4". I said, well, I'm not quite 6'4", but I'm a pretty good shooter and I can jump good. But in spite of my lack of height, we hit it off, and 15 months later we got married. And with a brief stop in Jacksonville at Barnett National Bank, I ended up coming to work for Florida Tile, and Jimmy Sykes, who I could never, ever put into words how much I owe Jimmy. I owe it all, frankly, to Jimmy. He gave me a ton of responsibility at a very young age, challenged me in a lot of different ways, more than I could ever say. But I spent 4 years there, and I sat in front of him and cried when I left. He had done so much for me, and took over a broken down shed in Winter Haven to build mobile homes, segued in through modulars and into the home building business. And over the years, when I was getting involved in helping high schools get athletic facilities or whatever else, I would go to Jimmy, and he would make the call over to Mr. George and send me over there, and usually give me enough seed money to get started on whatever we were doing. And when I was not involved in the original building of the YMCA, Don Jeffries, who was with me at Florida Tile, Don talked me into finally giving a little bit of money at the end of it. I did that just to get him to be quiet. But ultimately, I joined the Y, found it was pretty good. Started playing basketball and playing racquetball, and we struggled in those early few years. And finally, I went on the board. But one day, I picked up a set of plans and saw that there was a racquetball courts and another facility that was part of the original plans, but they ran out of money. So I went to the board and said, I'd like to do this. They said, that's fine, as long as you can find the money to do it. So I said, well, I think I can do that. So back to Jimmy and back to Mr. George, who helped me in what we did to get it done. It was the first expansion of the Y, but at a time when it was tough to break even, those courts gave us about $60,000 a year for the first 4 or 5 years when we charged for those things. But being involved in Florida Southern, I'm a basketball fan. Jenny and my wife and I started going to the game as soon as we got here. I was through my friend John Mack when Hal Whistle came to Southern and built that program into national prominence. I got involved a little more of that, and then a friend of John's on a radio station, and so we decided to approach Southern about doing the radio with the basketball games. And we did, and for a basketball junkie like me, it turned out to be what a great fortune. We, in those years, the Division I's would place college, and Southern had a good program, but we went to Duke, Wake Forest, Georgetown, played Orlando was here and played Michigan at Chrysler Arena with Rumil Robinson running that break, played Kansas at Fog Allen Arena. But it was a wonderful thing for us for about 10 years. We paid our way, went through those, my wife and John and his wife. We traveled great, had a great time, and Southern enjoyed some tremendous success with their basketball programs. Then, somewhere along the way, the SEC started to have a SEC basketball tournament. So, in the last years, we were doing that, we'd be bouncing around between wherever the SEC basketball tournament was always, the SEC tournament would always be the same time as the regionals for the Division II programs. So we're enjoying doing all that. But through the years, I've been blessed with fortune in business. I left Florida Tile, ended up with a home building company called Sun State Homes. We built it to one of the top 10 largest ever in the state of Florida. My partner got tired in the early 90s. We closed it down. I was fortunate with Joel, my son. We fired up Howland Homes in 96. We just celebrated the 30th anniversary of Howland last week, but turned into a great company with so many people who are so dedicated. 2019, we sold the company to Warren Buffett. We're the 9th home builder they bought. Joel runs it. The other stuff, I still develop lots. But the YMCA is, when Elaine Thompson came to me, it's hard to say no to Elaine. If you look at her track record, what she did with Lakeland Regional Hospital. But it made sense, and I got involved. We were able to get it done. And I can tell you that with any hesitation that having my name on a facility along with Mr. Jenkins is the highest honor that I will ever have. Mr. Jenkins was an unusual man. The whole Jenkins family is unusual. But we believe the Y will be that new Y will be a game changer for South Lake, and we may still have some work to do on the north side. I came back on the board in 2002 to do that first real big expansion of the South Y, and we built the north side Y as well. But YMCA, and somewhere along the way, you always got involved somehow by the high schools, from building weight rooms to whatever. But I was fortunate to have some success in the home builder business. It's been my pleasure to help a lot of folks along the way. We've been blessed with a tremendous group of trade partners that stayed with us, been with us some case now for 40 years. But all in all, Lakeland and Polk County, I don't think that I could ever made a better decision than to come here and work for Florida Tile. So I salute the other folks being added into this organization, and congratulations to you, and to all of you here tonight. Thank you very much.